What's going on, guys? It's Matty Milligan, and today I want to share with you what I personally believe is the most important high income skill that you must work on if you want to leave your 9 to 5 job, if you want to scale your business, if you want to make millions and millions, maybe even billions of dollars. Then I highly urge you to learn this one skill for the rest of your life, and you must become a master in this one skill. So many of you guys have been coming to me, and so many of my clients, for that fact, have been coming to me recently. You're like, Matty, if you had to start all over, what would be the number one thing you could focus on? What would be like that number one high income skill? Should I learn how to be an awesome consultant? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And they're like, should I learn social media marketing? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's important. But I believe that there's actually one skill that you must learn. And I'm going to tell you about how I actually learned this skill. So back in about 2015, when I was really getting into starting my own business and really putting myself out there and taking a lot of information, getting a lot of information on entrepreneurship and starting a small business and scaling a small business, I took this one course and I invested thousands of dollars at the time, which was pretty much all the money that I had available. And I invested it into this one course. And the first module of this course basically told me about this skill, okay? It was like, yeah, here's the thing. You're gonna start a service-based business and you're gonna sell to people, do some marketing, and you're gonna have to close them with master salesmanship. But then the dude's like, man, but you need to learn this one thing. And this one thing is called copywriting. And I'm not talking about copywriting like patents on products and protecting intellectual property. That's a completely different kind of legal copywriting, okay? What I'm talking about is copywriting, meaning writing in a specific way that can influence people and persuade them to take the actions that you want. And so I knew nothing about copywriting at the time, but I just became so obsessed with this thing. And my mentor, right, at the time, he's like, all right, the thing that I would recommend is there's this website, right? There's this guy called Gary Halbert, and he used to have this thing called the Gary Halbert newsletter. And the Gary Halbert newsletter is essentially all these old archives of this legendary marketer and copywriter, Gary Halbert. He's actually considered one of the best copywriters of all time, all right? So my mentor is like, all right, go to his website and handwrite this first article. So boom, I go there, I read it, I handwrite that thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I already considered myself a good writer, but by doing that one exercise, I was like, okay, now I see there's kind of a rhythm to the way that they're, that they're actually, there's a rhythm to the words that they're saying, right? There's kind of a cadence that's going on, and there's a certain way that he's communicating that influence and persuades things. And so from there, I'm like, okay, how do I get better at this one thing, right? So from there, man, I finished that course and tried to get some sales going, and it was, and then I was dabbling in all sorts of businesses. I was doing a lot of e-commerce and drop shipping, but when it came to me actually writing the product descriptions for the products, that was really where I'm like, okay, how can I write the product descriptions in such a way to get people to buy? And I remember writing my first product descriptions, and the funny thing is, you would import these products, right? And the descriptions would be written by a lot of Chinese manufacturers. And obviously they speak Mandarin or Cantonese, right? So they don't know how to write and speak English. So they would write these hilarious descriptions. And I would come in and I would do a little bit of research, find the keywords, find the emotions that people had when they bought this product or before they bought the product, and then put those into print. And then I would write an ad, run that traffic to my webpage, sell whatever, and boom, I would make a sale. And I remember the first few times that I actually made sales, I was like, wow, okay, this is, next level, right? But it all came down to me being able to write that awesome product description. And look, over the years, I've taken so many courses about copywriting. I've learned from the greats like John Carlton, I've learned from John Caples, I've learned from Frank Kern, pretty much. And then I've also taken the Agora Financial Copywriting course, which is probably one of the most expensive, but the best copywriting course I've actually ever taken. And by me learning this one skill, I've been able to leave my job without any overhead whatsoever too. Because when you start a writing business, right, all you really need is some sort of a word processor to just start those words. There's zero upfront investment whatsoever, right? You have to invest the time to learn the skill, but once you actually have that skill, you can do whatever realistically that you want with it, right? And so I really feel that whoever you are out there, right, copywriting and just writing in a way that persuades other people is the most important skill you can ever learn, right? Whether you want to get promoted in a job, you want to get that dream job, right? You're going to have to write and format that perfect resume, right? And you're going to have to go into that interview and communicate with that person in a way that persuades them and influences them to choose you over all the other candidates that are available to them, all right? Additionally, even if you look at words, right? If you look at all these texts that exist, right? All these religious texts, whether it's the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or any kind of religion, okay? They usually have some sort of a text that they've used to bring people to their cause, right? So they're like, okay, read a little bit of this part of the Bible, and then you read and you're like, okay, I understand that, and you read a little bit more and you buy into that thing. So I feel that words are like the most important thing in the entire world. They're also the most powerful, right? If you look at any kind of marketing campaign, if you look at what politicians tell people, they're essentially coming up with the best rhetoric that they can to persuade people to get on their side and oppose the other side, right? When you see politicians run for elections, they always go up to the front and then they basically spit their lit about whatever sort of platform that they have, and some people love them, some go against them and don't like them. But again, all you're really trying to do with writing is persuade people to take one specific action that you want. And to me, like, when I had that epiphany, like, everything changed for me, right? Even if you want to become a freelancer like me, you're still going to have to write these descriptions on job boards, right? Whether you want to get on Upwork or Fiverr, whatever it is that you want to put up your freelancer gigs on and actually get work, you're going to have to learn how to write that thing. I get so many emails all the time, and I see so many freelancer gigs where it's terribly formatted, and clearly the person, their first language isn't English, but I think that writing English, the advantage is that it's not as complicated as other languages. I speak French and I know how to speak French, but French, specifically verbs, are very complicated, right? When I've tried to learn other languages like German and Italian, those ones still very difficult. And then you go to a lot of Asian languages like Cantonese, and you learn Japanese, and it's all these symbols, and it's actually very complex. But if you learn copywriting specifically in English, it's so much easier than you actually think. And even then, there's so many tools out there like Grammarly, which can make sure that you don't make answers, right? And then if you want to make sure that you're not speaking in a tone that's kind of condescending, right? And you want to make sure that you're speaking to people at a very low grade level, because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make with their writing is that they want to use all these complicated and fancy language to impress the person that's reading. But realistically, the simpler your writing becomes, the easier it is for more people to read, and the easier it becomes for you to actually persuade and influence that person. All right, so there's all sorts of tools you can use for that online. So again, the overhead cost is virtually nil for learning this one skill. And like I said, if I were to go back and focus all of my energy right now, if I had to start all over again, focus on learning one specific high income skill, it wouldn't be consulting, it wouldn't be social media marketing, probably wouldn't be master salesmanship, it would be copywriting. It's easy for anyone to learn. There's all sorts of formulas that you can find, so many courses available that can help you become one of the best copywriters. One of the coolest things though is that, man, it is such a high in demand and high paying skill. Like, I've seen some of these dudes out there who get paid like 10 to 20 grand to write one email, and then they get royalties from all the sales they make, like a decent percentage, like 5 to 20%, even 30% I've seen in some cases of the sales that are being made. So like they're getting paid 5 figures to write a single email, plus they're getting ongoing royalties from every time that email is sent and for every single product that's sold through that one email that was written. And in some cases, for me, like, I have some gigs on freelancer sites where I get paid several $100s for like, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half work. I've written some email sequences, honestly, in like 15 minutes. And I've gotten paid almost $1,000 in some cases to write these simple sequences. And man, it's the biggest mistake I see business owners making out there. They have these customer databases, but they're not emailing their list regularly, right? By emailing your list too, by writing good emails that bring people goodwill with lots of highly valuable content that they enjoy, it makes it so much easier to people to buy from you, right? So whether you want to quit your 9 to 5 and learn a skill, I recommend copywriting. If you're a business owner and you have a physical product to sell, you're probably going to have to learn copywriting to learn how to write the best copy or the best product descriptions, as well as write the ads for those. If you're going to be building funnels for people, you're going to need to learn how to do copywriting. If you want to get promoted in your job, you're going to have to learn copywriting, right? It's the most important skill that you could possibly learn. And for someone like me, like, I tried to focus on all these other areas that I wasn't good at. Like, I tried to get promoted in a couple of cases to technical jobs and kind of more business process related jobs. And every time I would come up with the resume or I would send them that, they would always compliment me on how good my writing is. Why? Because I took the time to become a good writer. And it's not even that hard. Like, I don't even consider myself that good a writer, to be honest, right? But because I had the discipline to just practice for such a long time, after I was working my 9 to 5, I was able to get that one skill. And by getting this one skill, I was able to leave my job. I've been able to build my business over the last 18 months, even through a pandemic. And keep in mind, I was able to build this business without getting a loan from the bank, without getting any sort of grants from the government, and without any sort of overhead or ridiculously huge upfront costs, right? All that I need and all that I really use is a word processor and then a couple of other pieces of software that are kind of crucial to my business, mainly a piece of software that builds web pages, and then one that I use as an autoresponder to send marketing emails to people. So that's all that I really use for my business, right? And I feel that anyone could do this, right? So if I were to go back and I'd be like, okay, what was the number one skill? Like I said, I was working a 9 to 5 job. I'd just learn how to write, because if you do want to leave kind of that rat race in the hamster wheel, can't imagine working through this pandemic right away. Just is so far outside of my reality and sounds so ridiculously stressful that even just the thought of it, like my stomach starts to churn. And if you're in that situation right now and you're feeling that way, then I want to give you hope, right? I want to show you that there is a way out of that. And for me, the cheapest and easiest and fastest way, and safest as well, so low risk, would be to just start some sort of writing business. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I want you to like this. I want you to leave a comment below. I want you to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification. That way you're notified every single time that I put out a new video. My name is Matty Mills. I hope you have an awesome day. Be blessed and be grateful.